We'll call the meeting back to order. Are you good, Suzanne, with the recording? Okay. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 21, elk management strategies. Maureen Hullinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maureen Hullinger for Nevada Department of Wildlife. Agenda item 21 is the proposed elk management strategies and associated application eligibility. There was a support paper that went out to all the county advisory boards and the commission that had a number of strategies that were presented in September by the department staff biologist Mike Cox. 7 strategies. Subsequently, the department was tasked with developing the regulations and providing information regarding the implementation of the strategies. That document outlined the basic guidelines as they were presented in September, in addition to how to implement each strategy and to address such items as the application process, species application eligibility, and party methodology in some instances. 2 of the strategies that were presented currently fit current guidelines in the hunt framework. Those are the wilderness-only, antlerless elk hunts, and could be identified as just hunter choices in the tables in the standard hunts. And also the September 17th through the 30th, any legal weapon antlerless elk hunter choice in an established hunt. So those will possibly be presented in February at the February Commission meeting in the seasons and bag setting. The remaining 5 strategies require decisions and some permanent regulation changes to implement and to have adequate direction for me to come out of this meeting to develop the CRs for the application eligibility. The 5 strategies are removal of the depredation hunts from the bonus point program, antlerless elk management tag awarded when a deer tag is drawn, the DELK strategy, an antlerless elk management tag awarded when an antlered elk tag is drawn, and allow applications for both antlered elk and antlerless elk in the same draw period, which the application process to allow more than one application per species is kind of throughout some of these strategies. And then the spike hunts. The public impacts, if any of these strategies are approved, the harvest of additional elk will assist the department in reaching their elk management goals, and when implemented, they will provide additional application eligibility for antlerless elk tags and more opportunity for hunters. So with that said, I'd like to go through the individual strategies and present what was provided as support from the county advisory boards. And I'll start with strategy 1. Strategy 1 was to remove the depredation hunt from the bonus point program. And the background on that is to harvest elk regardless of age and or antler size. The premise for this regulatory change is that the bull elk depredation, as an example, that their building points are not more likely to, they're more likely to trophy hunt once they draw the tag, and therefore not likely to shoot a bull with antlers not considered large enough. Now with this change also, I have to point out that this is removing depredation hunts. The elk is used as an example in these strategies, but depredation, there's other depredation hunts that with this change, there's the 1101 hunt. I think the Baker Ranch is an example that's been in place for a number of years. And then we had that 4107 hunt that the regulatory change would also remove those types of hunts. Anytime there's a depredation term in the draw hunts, they'd be outside of the bonus point program. Anybody with points currently, if this change is implemented, would maintain those points until they draw. That's just going into the future normal earn points. So I wanted to make that clarification because that was a couple questions at the county level. So with that said, there was 9 counties that responded. 6 supported the concept, 2 opposed the concept, 1 had no comment. Elko had additional comments to make depredation tags available over the counter. Lyon County opposed the additional comment to, they couldn't see the desired effect, in particular that don't believe hunter behavior will be affected. In addition, bonus points should accrue so unsuccessful applicants have better draw chances in the subsequent year. Strategy 2, antlerless elk management tag awarded if a deer tag is drawn. The coin term now is the delk. I think we've heard it throughout the weekend here. Background, the premise of the delk tag is to increase cow elk harvest without additional hunters and hunter congestion during the existing mule deer hunt seasons. This antlerless elk tag is considered a management elk tag without any bonus points associated with it, which in the CGR that you'll be considering later today, that language is added in there to remove the management tags from the bonus point program. 8 counties supported this strategy, this concept. 0 opposed it, and there was 1 no comment. Clark had additional comments to consider adding the youth hunt and the delk option, in addition to the general antlered deer and antlerless deer hunts as that option on the tag. Also to consider looking at legislative action to add a separate fee for antlerless elk management tags at a lower rate of $60. Douglas supported it with the additional comment she had over-the-counter elk tag whenever they wanted to decrease the population. Lincoln County supported it with the additional comment, strong consideration should be given to individual CAD and biologist recommendations. Specific units and unit groups should be tested on a small scale. And Lyon County, their additional comment, not optimistic on the desired effect, and Washoe was to include non-resident applicants. So in strategy 2, there was also several layers of application eligibility that needed to be addressed for me to come forward with CR in February. The first eligibility option on this delk deer app is the party applications for deer. There was 2 options. To have single deer applicants only have that antlerless elk option attached to their application, or option 2, which would allow party deer applications and to have the option, and then, but not all party applicants were required to participate in the delk option. That was what the primary selection was from the county advisory boards, was this option 2. Eligibility 2B was on delk application eligibility. Does the public want hunters to be able to receive 2 or more antlerless elk tags? So depending on what eligibility option is selected, someone could randomly draw up to 3 tags, and there could be other applicants that not draw any antlerless tags. So these options are trying to get a feel for what the public felt in that regard. Option 1, in the same draw, only allow application eligibility for 1 type of antlerless tag. In other words, they had to choose, like they do now, between the bull and the cow. They're now would they have to choose between the different antlerless hunt opportunities, the delk, the general, or if the depredation was available, choose one of them. Option 2, in the same draw, allow applications for all antlerless elk tags with the knowledge that there could be successful applicants with up to 3 tags and other applicants with no cow tags. Option 3, in the same draw, allow applications for all antlerless elk tags, but once a tag is drawn, all outstanding antlerless elk applications become unsuccessful, earning a bonus point. Option 4, allow the application for the general antlerless elk and the delk application, but exclude depredation should it be available as a hunt in the application process, with that potential of drawing up to 2 tags. So support from the county advisory boards. There was 1 county Churchill County that opted for option 1. There were 7 counties that option 3 was selected, and there was 1 no comment. And then eligibility 2C, a delk application eligibility with antlered elk. So you have your deer with your delk, your antlerless management tag option, and then someone applying for bull elk separately in a separate category. Would there be an interest in allowing that multiple application per species? There was support for this concept. by 5 county advisory boards. 3 opposed it, and there was 1 no comment. Clark had an additional comment. The support was a 4-to-1 split due to the perception issue expressed by a board member. Lyon County supported it with an additional comment to keep the bull elk eligibility, to get some sportsmen to check the box for the delk tag. There was a strategy, and that was that for all of those eligibility options for strategy 2. On to strategy 3, antlerless elk management tag awarded if a bull elk tag is drawn. Similar concept, except it's on the bull elk as the delk, the cow tag on the deer. Premises for this antlerless elk opportunity is to increase the cow elk harvest without adding additional hunters in the field and hunter congestion during the existing antlered elk hunt season. There was 5 counties that supported this concept, and strategy 3 opposed it, and there was 1 no comment. Additional comments on this one, Lincoln County supported it with the additional comment and will allow a hunter the opportunity to harvest a cow if the bull is not attainable without affecting eligibility and opportunity. Lyon County stepped outside the box a little bit and came up with a separate strategy between strategy 3 and 4. They did a combination. They liked the option of the elk application, but if there was a cow delk or a cow application, that they wouldn't draw more than 1 cow tag. And then Washoe County also supported it with an additional comment to include the non-residents. The eligibility on 3A, the application eligibility, deals with, would you still want to allow, if they're already applying for 2 elk, the antlered bull and the antlerless elk management tag attached to a deer app, should they be eligible to apply for the antlerless general hunt? And there was 2 county advisory boards that supported it with comments. 3 opposed it because they opposed the concept, and then there was 4 with no comments. The 2 that supported it, Lyon County, again, they supported it as long as there was the knowledge that there was not 2 antlerless tags drawn. And Washoe County, the same strategy as 2, but once an antlerless cow tag is drawn, all other antlerless cow applications are unsuccessful. So it kind of supported Lyon's concept also. Strategy 4 allowed both the antlered and the antlerless elk applications in the same draw period. This is your general hunts, your antlered bull, and your general antlerless cow tags. Historically, we've not allowed more than 1 application per species. This is to see if that's palatable. In the same draw to allow those applications with the knowledge that they could possibly, in the eligibility sections, draw more than 1. But the support for the concept, 8 county advisory boards supported the concept. There was 1 opposed, and then there was the alternate recommendation from Lyon County again on the cow hunts. And Washoe County also supported with the additional comment to include the non-residents on that. And there was eligibility guidelines that needed to be addressed. Option 1 was to allow a random draw on both, but restrict the success to 1 tag. Option 2 is allow a random draw on both, but with unrestricted success. In other words, you could draw both the bull and the cow tag. Option 3 was to determine the results of the antlered bull app first, and then if it was successful, then the cow app would be processed as unsuccessful. If the bull app was unsuccessful, then the cow app would go through and determine the success on that time. Option 4 was similar, but from the cow app perspective. If the cow app was processed first, if it was successful, then the bull application would become unsuccessful. And if the cow app was unsuccessful, then the bull app would go through to determine the results. And then option 5 was to not status quo, in other words, don't allow in the same draw. Clark, there was 1 opposed. Clark County opted for option 1 with the additional comment with the 4-to-1 split. Option one, opposing vote, felt there was a fairness issue that option one did not address, and also voted unanimously to oppose options 2 through 4. So option 3 had 3 counties that liked that option, and then there was the alternative recommendation from Lyon County again. A note with this particular strategy with 3 of the county advisory boards going for option 3, which is the bull application being drawn first on the eligibility. That is a significant programming change. And with the limited management strategies in the field on where they want to target things, I'm not so sure, since there's other strategies that are a little simpler to implement, if that's a wise direction at this point. But I wanted to point that out, but that is what the county's flavor on that strategy. So, and then last, the strategy 5 is the spike elk hunts. Initiate spike bull hunts in select unit groups where we are overpopulation objective. Start with small quotas and increase once hunter success rate is estimated for a given unit. And Utah spike hunts, the hunter success is typically around 15%. There was 4 counties that supported the spike bull hunt. There was 4 that opposed, and there was 1 no comment. Eligibility on the spike hunt as associated to other elk applications. Option 1, ineligible to apply for any other elk hunt application when there's a spike elk. Option 2, allow both a cow application and a spike application in the same draw. Option 3, allow bull application and a spike application in the same draw. Option 4, allow all elk applications, bull, cow, and spike in the same draw. And option 5, allow all elk applications but once drawn, all other applications are unsuccessful. The option 2, there was 1 county that supported that. That was Elko. Option 5, there was 2 counties that supported that. That was Clark and Lincoln County. There was 4 that opposed, just because of opposing the spike hunt altogether. And then there was 2 no comments. Now, that's my presentation. In putting this all together, there was a theme. There's an interest in allowing applications for multiple applications for the species. There's a theme that once you've drawn one of the cow applications, that other applications should be unsuccessful. And there was also a flavor that would allow for the bull application and the cow application, but also with that overlying theme that once you've drawn a cow application, any others that might be allowed through the CR process be unsuccessful. So that's kind of what I could get out of this. There's so many variables, but that was the general themes that I could get after putting this all together. So I'm going to give it back to you to have the joy of trying to make a decision.
All right.
So,
Thank you for the way you put this together, Maureen, and everything you did on this. I think it came together very well. We discussed it last night at the tag allocation committee meeting for about 2 hours last night. So if anybody has questions on this or this meeting or where we're at with it. Commissioner Bliss.
I just have a little bit of a concern as we go forward with this, and to keep it in mind is there are individuals out there that apply only for the cow elk hunts, period. They don't apply for bull tags, or they might not apply for the elk tag or anything. It's just the cow elk hunters now. And I would hate to implement something that is going to lessen their opportunity of drawing a tag, but I'm fully aware of the direction that we need to get. So to try to keep that in the back of our minds when we're making some of these decisions of how it's going to impact the cow hunters that we have, because we're still going to have a number of tags that we can give out. And how are we going to split it within how many deer tags are available, how many, if it goes to elk tags, how many elk tags will be available compared to how many regular cow elk tags will be available, etc.
And we discussed that last night, and until we put some of these things on the ground and start implementing them, we don't know success rate or anything. It's going to be one of those trial by error for the first couple years to see where things shake out with success rate with people participating in it and everything. The only way we're going to get answers is to put it out there. It could, in the end, you know, you say there's people that are cow elk hunters only. There will be an impact on their ability to draw a cow elk tag, because I believe there will be people that are applying for bull that have a bunch of points that don't apply for cow now, and they are going to go into the pool applying for cow at this point. They have that possibility. So I see that there could be some reduction in opportunity for some of those pure cow elk hunters with an additional number of people wanting to get into the cow elk tag. So anybody else have anything? Beth?
I agree with Commissioner Bliss. We've led to the cow elk hunter. And I also feel that at this point, I know we need to start getting some of these cow elk on the ground, but I struggle with having any one hunter have multiple tags. And so the comments that we've heard that be limited to one is one that I support. And I'm curious as to, you know, the scenarios that, you know, a person draws both their deer tag and check the box on the elk, and also put in for elk, the bull elk tag, and have, you know, have that option to get the cow elk tag during that season. So the way I understand this is that the elk tag is during, you're going to have cow elk during the deer season, but when you get the cow management tag into the bull tag, you're now going to be hunting the cow in the regular bull elk season. And so if we do have that scenario where we, you know, when we have somebody who draws, you know, both of them, we're going to have to, it seems to me we have to prioritize. What is that hunter going to want to do? Is he going to want to hunt that cow out with his bull elk? It seems to me he would, as opposed to having to hunt cow elk during the deer season. Or would he rather separate them? I mean, how are we going to prioritize that? Or are we going to give the option to, you know, to the hunter as to what period he wants to hunt that cow elk?
Mr. Chairman, Maureen Hullinger from the Department of Wildlife. What I want to do as a point of clarification is that these are just strategies out there to consider. You don't have to approve all of them. You can approve one or two of them, or a flavor of them. So that, you know, if you have a concern, like you just voiced, Commissioner Beth, on the elk option, maybe in that, you know, maybe there's this consensus then that you don't include strategy, whatever is strategy free, with the bull elk and that elk management antlerless tag as an option, you know, as in your decision-making process. So these are just all different strategies that were laid out for consideration to help the department address an elk management issue. One can be approved, two can be approved, all can be approved, which then I would have to fund trying to figure out how to present it. But there are just concepts, so any one or more. So.
Commissioner Drew?
Yeah, just to follow up with that theme, I think that's kind of where I'm at. I don't have a problem with the elk premise, but I think we got to be careful and make these changes stepwise. Maybe, you know, the deer option is kind of the way I'm thinking, just because that's kind of where the caps are, and then maybe hold off on the elk, bull elk portion of the elk tag for now and see how the deer program goes before we kind of adopt everything at once in one shot and blast approach. But that's just my thought at this point. It's kind of take this step up.
Director Wadley?
I'd just like to add that what we're talking about are tools, and that they wouldn't be tools that would be used without the commission's approval. And there are things that things wouldn't happen in all areas in year one, but there may be areas because of conflicts with hunts or whatever that might be more suitable in some of those areas. And so simply by adopting them doesn't mean that they're going to be all of them will be utilized in a bunch of areas. Just for your consideration.
And that was part of the discussion last night, was what strategies we might employ in different areas. And having the tools available to apply that strategy in those areas, then we might be able to start reaching some of the target numbers we're trying to get to. Commissioner Maureen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's the way I see it, is exactly like Director Wasley pointed out. At the OCOCAD meeting, the biologists explained that, and in my opinion, we have good biologists in these areas that know where the animals are, they know what the hunting situations are, as far as hunter congestion, the appropriate areas that would fit each one of these strategies. And I believe that would be the key to, as long as they have the tools to work with the biologists and the department to work that out in their proposal that comes before the commission for us to sort out.
Commissioner Bliss.
I guess I don't know who to address the question to, but as far as the delta tag goes, if that tag is only good for certain units within an area, would the biologists have any concern over one unit within that area maybe getting hunted a little harder during the deer season than spreading it out all over? I'll just use Area 14 for example, and there's no, I mean, it's a depredation hunt in unit, I think it's 145 south of Highway 50. But if there was something like that somewhere in that area, there's very few deer south of the road. But if you put, a delta type tag in there, and then you had a couple hundred tags that would go into that certain little area to hunt elk and deer, that would it have a negative impact on the bucks? I guess.
Mike Cox, became staff biologist, and we certainly are not looking to use the delta tag in an area of limited elk numbers. So Area 14 would be our candidate. But I can tell you, this past summer, all of our biologists, we got together in E Lake, and we came up with many of these ideas. And at that time, it was primarily Area 6, possibly Area 7, and possibly Area 11 and 22. So those were the two main areas that we were considering. We definitely are going to want to, if they're supported, to implement in Area 6. That's probably the key area of our concern right now, needing additional harvest. So it could, for example, Area 6 deer is split up into two elk management groups. So if we've got the north end of the Independence Range and the bull runs 6-1, 6-2, that might be where we want a delta tag to be used. So those people with an entire Area 6 deer tag may choose to not hunt the Tuscaroras or other areas of 6, and if they have that cow tag, then they would maybe force themselves to hunt in the northern part in 6-1, 6-2. But so there is that chance. There is that chance you could. But again, as Commissioner Chairman Rob, we don't know how many people are going to opt out for the option, for the elk option. So it could be pretty minimal at the beginning of the first year.
Any other commission questions, comments? Director Walsey, I have a question for you. We have this listed as an action item. You listened to the discussion last night, and you have the results from the County Advisory Board questionnaire. How much additional help do you need from us as a commission to help Maureen and the department go forward in you want us to take action on this, or do you think you got a good general sense? Where are you at?
Are you asking about the process if we were to incorporate some of the additional changes?
Well, Maureen made indication she would need some help from us to help her for the February meeting to start drafting regulations and make these changes. But we had the discussions last night. We had the county advisory boards weigh in. Do you need additional help from us right now? And where you do need additional help, could you please indicate where you need the help on here, and we can try to get through this process? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I guess I would ask Maureen and Mike if they're comfortable with having attended last night as well, and ultimately they're going to be the ones that are going to be doing it, so it's kind of a gray area that we've never ventured into, and I don't know if we're going to get it right the first time or even the second time, but I don't know how much help we could be with the commission right now trying to formulate something going forward. I think you guys have a pretty good idea between the county advisory board questionnaire and our, we had 2 hours of discussion on it last night. So do you need additional answers right now, Mr. Cox, to help you out, or are you comfortable? We can give you more. If you need something else, let us know and we'll start taking action.
You are right, and I've been asking that same question to myself. In what form will you provide your endorsement? I know for the license office's sake, we definitely need your advice on the eligibility questions. There's been some discussions of how many elk tags should one person have in a single year. So the more we discuss it, beat it up, and come up with some strong support today, the less time we'll have to spend in February. The other thing is, I told our folks that next week I would give them direction that I hopefully got from you, so that our biology can start to pull together and strategize their season structure amendments. And some of them are going to be very complicated for them to implement these. And in terms of trying to figure out the quota splits, something amendable, keeping in mind the cow elk hunters. We don't want to just completely take half the tags away from them and put them in all these other special hunts. So I think for our guys to give them time through the month of December and January to think about those. We actually have already set the first week of January is when our biologists are going to be coming to Reno and having a coordination meeting on several topics, one of which will be season amendments. So, but I definitely think that which of these strategies you support or not, and then which ones then eligibility options are going to be key to give us direction of which ones you think are going to be more appropriate.
Commissioner Drew.
I guess just from a strategic or procedural standpoint, I would maybe recommend that we step through each strategy as a commission and provide direction with a vote of the commissioners. And maybe get input from, what the TAC came up with last night, and then at least it's very clear to the department what the body kind of endorses at this point, and then it will help things.
Yeah, let's go to strategy number 1. Let's start with public comment, and then we'll bring it back to the commission. Any public comment on strategy number 1? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission. Come on up.
Commissioner Zeddy, Elton County Cabinet representing myself on the removal of depredation hunts, the bonus program. I have a lot of experience in the Ruby Mountains with the elk in that depredation hunt, and I have seen a lot of the people, trophy quality elk hunters going in there and passing out elk. And in one of the areas I guided a lot, the elk herd just is continuously growing. The last day of the deer hunt with rifle, mid-November, I saw 32 elk in my guide area there in the Rubies. And obviously, I didn't have any tags, but I knew guys that had depredation tags, but they were hunting quality, and there was no quality bulls in that bunch, but there was. So I think sometimes we deter or we get distracted by not off, guys think, well, if I get more bonus points, but when there's guys that don't have any, they're giving the tags to the guys with bonus points and not the guys that would go out and harvest those animals. So I would like to see that program, depredation points removed from the points of ability on depredation hunts for elk at least. I understand there's gonna be upset people out there for sure, anytime you take the points or things like that, it's gonna raise issues with sportsmen.
My understanding is we won't take any points, they just will not accumulate anymore.
Yeah, I fully agree not to take the points they have, just quit accumulating.
Okay. Any other public comment? Mr. Johnston?
Brad Johnson from Lyon County Cab. We opposed this at our cab meeting, and the idea being we just didn't see how a person's going to put in for a depredation tag. They're going to have various purposes for putting in, and whether it's a bonus point or not, we didn't see that as affecting hunter behavior. I'm going to take my hat off as the Lyon County Cab Chairman and shift gears, and I want to make a comment that I made last night at the TAC committee meeting, and it's hearing from people who've been out in the field, and hearing them now from a personal standpoint. And the comment I made last night was, all the public has the right to give their input, the cabs give their input, any member from the public can come up and talk. But I think due consideration needs to be given to what we're hearing from the people where there is an elk management issue, and who are living with it and experiencing these issues, and what they're telling the commission through their public comments, in my opinion, should be given greater weight than what perhaps we sat as the Lyon County Cab thinking about hunter behavior, because I'm not out there with hunters with depredation tags who are passing up opportunities in that. So, there's a management issue. It's isolated to certain parts of the state, and I think we need to give a lot of weight to what those people in those areas are saying with respect to these management strategies, because they're living with it and they perhaps know better than we do. So,
Thank you. Come on. Thank you, Tom.
For the record, Henry Krinkar speaking for myself, I just say that I agree with Mr. Brizzetti's comments.
Thank you. Tom and Maureen.
Thank you, Tom Barnes, Upper County Cab Chairman, for the record. We supported this in our cab because we do have some management issues up there, and we appreciate the department recognizing the fact that there are some issues and being some serious issues for the private landowners in that area. Also, now speaking for myself, in the area we live, we're supposed to be an elk-free area, and the numbers are growing there. And so, obviously, we would like to see as many of those elk removed as we can, if not all of them, and this would be a good tool to do it. And as I'm kind of switching gears again, but as our cab went through this worksheet, I appreciate this worksheet because this is kind of confusing, and was able to kind of keep it fairly clear to us, or as clear as it could be, as we worked through these strategies. And we were fortunate to have Ken Gray in there to come up and explain some of this to us. And as we went through this, it helped us out a lot. But I think it's important that to realize that as you go through all these strategies, they are different tools. When I'm a mechanic, all I need is a hammer and a crescent wrench. But somebody that really knows what's a mechanic, they have a whole toolbox full of tools. And I think that this right here gives the department a whole toolbox full of tools to use in a specific situation. And that really is why we supported all of these options, realizing that they're not all going to be used in the same unit or area or whatever, but they can pick the strategy that fits in the specific unit that works the best.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
Larry Johnson, representing myself in these comments. First of all, I testified at the County Being Board of Washoe County in support of removing the bonus points. I think that's appropriate. But I do want to make one additional comment here as far as procedure goes, and that, when you go through this shopping list of cow elk tags, and the same thing with the hunt, these issues are so extremely complex that people are going to change their mind after they hear somebody else's viewpoint or something they haven't thought of, or kind of, and you're going to see that here between yesterday and today. My point is, when you have back-to-back hearings and you take action on something you've criticized past commissions for, simply because as individuals, as cabs, everyone needs the opportunity to hear all of the data thrashed out into consecutive meetings, not back-to-back day-to-day, because those people who are unable to attend back-to-back meetings don't hear all those discussions. At that point, their opinions, very well may change, depending on what's put forth. Really would like to see items like this put on separate commission meetings. They're just extremely complex, sometimes confusing, and everybody needs as much data as possible to base logical decisions on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Walt Gerger, for the record. I support option or strategy one. I would also agree with Tom Barnes. I live in Elko County. We need to get these elk out of there. There's too many people passing up elk that should be killed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Drew?
Just to address a couple of things, I think from a procedural standpoint, we're given a recommendation today, but my understanding is this is gonna have to come back to a regulatory workshop, and so everyone's gonna kind of have a second bite at this apple again.
For the record, Maureen Hullinger, Nevada Department of Wildlife, it is in CGR 438. As a language change, should you approve or deny this strategy, we'd have to adjust your decision-making on CGR 438 with that language change there, so keep that in mind.
And I guess specific to strategy one, I guess I just have a difference of opinion. I don't think a person with 1 bonus point or 9 bonus points is gonna change what they're after. Maybe I'm just a hardhead, but myself and the people I know, I don't think their behavior is gonna change, so that's where I'm at on it, but I mean, I don't have any issue with the approach.
And in reply to that, listen to what Mr. Johnson said last night. Let the people that deal with it every day give us their input and consider their input more. And we've pretty much heard everybody in Elko County come up with specific incidents that they know about that are inhibiting our ability to take elk. Maybe if we try something different, it would change that a little bit. I'm willing to change that. Mr.
Mike Cox, I had made a statement last night at the TAC meeting that really our preferred alternative was to have a manageable criteria. And that's going to force people to kill lesser bulls. But we knew that that would be pretty complicated, could take some time, get a lot of input, and we just thought maybe we weren't ready for that, but ultimately that's what we wanted. So this was like plan D, option D, that might have an influence, but may not. So I appreciate your hard-headedness.
Commissioner Bliss.
Chairman Rowe. I feel the same way that Commissioner Drew does. I don't think one's point has anything to do with the size of bull that someone wants to harvest. I think it depends on the person who has the tag and what their goal and their expectations are of the hunt and what they want. If the goal is to, in area 10, to remove the elk there, would not the delk approach work in that area and let people opt if they want to tag in there or not? And to me, you're giving more people a tag, and if your goals are to move them, I'd be willing to do it.
Any other comments? Seeing none, do we have a motion to get us out of strategy one?
I guess one question, what was the tax recommendation?
We didn't get formal recommendations last night, we just had more discussion on this stuff, but I think there was a general consensus that we should give something else a try to get to the desired result for trying to get to.
Chairman, I'm just going to put something out there on the table to get this moving.
Thank you.
And my recommendation would be to, I'm looking at what the CABs suggested and also the ALCO people who appear to be dealing with this issue, that we support strategy one, which is to remove the depredation hunts from bonus point program.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lane, second by Commissioner Beth. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? We have 2 nays, Mr. Bliss and Mr. Drew. For 6 to 1 vote. Okay, strategy 2. Any question on strategy 2? Commission before I take it to the general public. Okay, general public comment on strategy 2. Mr. Reed.
John Reed, Washoe Cab. Generally speaking, and I'm just going to say it for really for categories 2, 3, and 4. Basically, we just didn't see any reason to exclude non-residents. In all cases, we felt like 2 animals was enough. There were some options there on some of these where you could get to 3 animals, but we figured that 2 animals was enough. And last but not least, we were graced to have Maureen Hullinger at our meeting, because trying to read this and work it through and consider some of these things was pretty difficult, and she was able to lay them out for us, and it made us a lot easier to deal with these issues. But we saw these all 2, 3, and 4 as great opportunities for the hunter, as well as opening up opportunities for NDOW and the commission to help manage these herds. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Mr. Dixon and Mr. Farley.
Paul Dixon for the record, Clark County. We supported this, and then we had a couple of things for you guys to consider. One of them was brought up at our meeting is whether or not under strategy 2, the dog tag should be expanded to go into the youth hunts and have some limited tags in the youth hunt areas with that. It would be a great experience for a parent to have a kid out there where they could have an opportunity to add a deer or an elk. And the other thing is that right now we have a fee of $120 per resident for an cow elk tag. Would be to go back to the legislature and ask them for a special fee just for the elk tag that would be reduced to help encourage people to apply for the elk tag. To be a reduced fee rather than the standard $120 elk fee. You wouldn't change that fee for the cow elk tag, but you would change it for the elk. Thanks.
Mr. Flowers.
Rex Flowers speaking on behalf of myself. I heard at the Washoe meeting the other night as a member there that when we talk about 2 elk, we're talking about a bull, 1 antlered, 1 antlerless. So the question about what happens if you draw a management cow tag under elk and you draw one under bull, through eligibility, once you draw an antlerless tag, all other tags become unsuccessful. That's the way to handle that. And we've heard about, Chad brought up a good point about, on the elk, area 14 and the number of hunters, and the 145, I believe, is the area where the elk are at now. And you don't want to end up with 200 hunters in there. As the department explained to us last night at TAC committee, not everybody's going to get a delk tag. It's going to be on a limited basis. So you may have 100 people put in, but there may only be 10 tags available, so by random drawing. That takes care of a big part of that problem. The only thing I've thought about that's concerning me is what happens to a party tag. We expect, you know, when individuals put in a party, I guess I'm asking if one individual draws a delk tag and he's in a party draw, he becomes ineligible, and I would hope that the remainder of that party would stay eligible.
Corey?
For the record, Corey Lytle, Lincoln Cab. I kind of want to echo what Rex said as far as eligibility. You know, we're trying to put elk on the ground, and it seems more realistic that if somebody drew, you know, a bull tag and then a deer tag, and he had the delk mark, and then he also has it just seems like the realistic approach would be to take away that eligibility once one of the cow tags is drawn. And I don't know the exact, you know, listing or the direction we want to take